Connecticut lawmakers are betting that Keno can help balance the state's budget, but others are not convinced, and they say any revenue gain comes with too high a price on residents and on local communities.
Former 2nd District Connecticut Congressman Robert Steele and current state rep Tony Hwang of Fairfield are here now to talk about why they say Connecticut will not win with more gaming. Thanks to both of you for being here. Representative, we could start with you and tell me why, obviously Connecticut's budget is in need of some revenue. Why you don't see this as a viable option for growth?
Well, Keno is a form of electronic bingo. But this is not the bingo that you see at church groups and at school fairs. This is Keno that are situated in restaurants, convenience stores, family restaurants, in which people are sitting there and they're betting money. They're sitting there and gambling.
And the kids are watching.
And it's into a setting that is reinforcing the mantra of gambling. And one of the nuances of it is the fact that when you're looking at a video addiction, and we grew up in a generation of kids that are comfortable with videos, the idea of being able to gamble on something that they're so familiar with feeds the problem of addiction that gambling has such an impact on.
Are you going to lead the charge to get this repealed, get Keno thrown out?
Well, I think one of the situations in this is that Keno has a bill was not really vetted by any committee. It was part of an omnibus budget bill, and I don't begrudge anybody who voted for it or against it. But the fact of the matter was there was never a public due process. And I would encourage that before we implement something that may have some significant societal impact in our communities, that we address it in a public forum with public debate. But when we look at Keno, and one of the biggest revenue drives is that we need taxes and the idea of jobs. But the fact of the matter is we're only looking at $3.8 million of Keno revenue going into our budget. And the next year, $27 million. And when you look at
the whole scheme of things, that's not a lot of
And when
revenue.
you look at certain revenue sources that we have, one such example is our arts and cultures in our state. The fact that the arts and culture industry in our state generates close to $18 million of revenue and employs over 18,000 people. Why are we not pursuing that avenue? We pursue the biosciences, and I applaud that. But to go down that path of gambling, and it's a real concern, and it's a real fright to me. And Congressman Steele has offered so much different perspectives because of his experience at Southeastern Connecticut.
Yeah, he was here before with his book, which has been very successful, showing, in a fictional way, how the real story behind how casino gambling came to Connecticut. And this year they were talking about having video slots at the OTB parlors, and the governor wants to expand online. He wants to introduce online gambling like they have in New Jersey and Nevada.
Well, that's exactly right. And, it's interesting. Just today, 2 additional New Jersey casinos just got authorization to offer online gambling. My concern is not only but the fact that this is just the beginning of going down a very slippery slope to a whole new expansion of legalized gambling in Connecticut. Keno, video slots, online gambling, and there is no reason why it need to happen. We can see all over the Northeast that casino gambling is beginning to slide. Connecticut's casino revenue has been down now for 21 straight months. And in Delaware, the governor of Delaware has just proposed giving Delaware's 3 casinos $8 million in order to forestall layoffs. The money's supposed to come the other way. This is not the time to expand gambling in Connecticut.
Would you feel better about it in any sense if they were to put lots of restrictions around it, about where the Keno could go and all that?
Gambling's gambling, and we are not simply talking about a bet of $1 between friends and peers. This is big-time business, and the fact of the matter is the imagery that is portrayed about gambling of fun and luxury. I've been in casinos. It is not that type of environment.
Yeah, you're seeing a different group of people predominating in gambling facilities, from what I've read. It's younger people and maybe some older people looking for fun, but the younger people are getting involved in the middle income groups too. Not just, it used to be for high rollers primarily. but that's
right.
changed.
That's exactly right. It used to be mainly for higher rollers and people who might go to a casino once or twice a year. And now, increasingly, with this proliferation of casinos around the country, casinos becoming basically convenience casinos for local people, you've got people going 2 and 3 times a month, 2 and 3 times a week, and it's having a huge impact on the culture of the United States.
In what ways do you think that it has affected southeastern Connecticut?
Well, there's no question it's created a pervasive gambling culture in southeastern Connecticut. It's sharply skewed our economy toward low-paying service jobs. And it's also been followed by a sharp spike in the number of pathological and problem gamblers seeking treatment in facilities across the state.
Well, I'm looking at this article, the Associated Press. John Christopherson wrote about how crime has actually fallen around Connecticut casinos since their opening.
Well, it's interesting that the number of embezzlements in southeastern Connecticut, arrests for embezzlement, we don't know how many embezzlements there have been, has been so great that the New London Day has described southeastern Connecticut as the embezzlement capital of America.
People taking money from their employers or their companies.
And we just saw another example, evidently, from what has been reported up in Winchester, where an apparent embezzlement has literally brought the town to its knees and threatened to close the school system.
All right. Well, I guess we have to leave it there. We thank you both for coming in. We'll watch with great interest what happens in the next session.
The societal cost has not been measured. And this is a path that we cannot take lightly. And I would encourage us to engage in this debate. I want to thank you for having us.
Thank
you, Tony Hwang, Bob Steele.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Well, don't forget, if you missed something here on The Real Story, you can now watch it on